Hello, everyone. This is not one of my more typical videos. This is not on Mishnah Brura. It's not a shir, but it's something that came to my mind because of current events, and it's something that I felt was important and worthy of spreading to my listeners. So if you could bear with me for a couple of minutes. Many of my listeners know, I've said this many times over the years, especially in the Dirsha Mishnah Brura share when we were learning Hilchos Tzitzis. I have had a strong feeling for some time now that the Yetzer Hara has developed a particular affinity for the mitzvah of Tzitzis. I have seen too often, to my dismay, especially amongst the younger generation, that a peculiar callous has developed towards the mitzvah of tzitzis. I know when I was growing up as a child, there was no such thing as not wearing tzitzis. You always wore tzitzis. I mean, it was one of the basics. I mean, you got up in the morning, you washed negavasser, and you put on tzitzis. And if mommy looked at you and mommy got like a sneaking suspicion that there wasn't tzitzis under your shirt, are you wearing your tzitzis? Now, sometimes it happened that you got dressed in the morning, you're a kid, and you got dressed in a fog, and you forgot to put your tzitzis on. Are you wearing tzitzis? Oh, I forgot my tzitzis. You ran to your bedroom and you got your tzitzis, and mommy figured out how to put it over your head and tuck it in, under your shirt, and you had your tzitzis. But there was no such thing as not wearing tzitzis. There was no havamina not to wear tzitzis. I will say that at a younger age, I think when I was growing up, people did do things like maybe go to the pool, dressed in a robe and a bathing suit underneath without tzitzis. Okay, various reasons for it. But then even when it comes to things like that, the world changed and it became much more commonplace. What's the big deal? So you throw talis cotton over the robe, and when you get to the pool, they say, well, you have to find a place to put down your robe. You find a place to put down your tzitzis. What's the big deal? But people always wore tzitzis. And it always struck me that Chazal say in many different places, there's the Maimer Chazal that says that Klal Yisrael is nimshal to a rimoin. Klal Yisrael is compared to a pomegranate. Why are they compared to a pomegranate? Because a pomegranate, when you break open a pomegranate, we know it's full of seeds, right? You break open the pomegranate, it's full of seeds, and not only is it full of seeds, but there's seeds inside nooks and crannies, and everywhere in there, there's seeds. So Chazal say that Klal Yisrael is like a rimoin. Afilu harekonin shebahem, even the empty ones of Klal Yisrael are mole mitzvahs karimoin. They're full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate is full of seeds. And the truth is that this Maimer Chazal was always very puzzling to me. Is that true? Unfortunately, we do have individuals in Klal Yisrael, if you're going to call them rekonin, if you're going to call them the empty ones, right? Who are the empty ones that Chazal are referring to? The empty ones are not the tinoikoi shenishbu. They're not the people who grew up with zero background, who barely even know that they're Jewish. Those people are not the rekonin, the empty ones that Chazal are talking about, that they're moli mitzvahs karimai. They're not moli mitzvahs karimai. They don't know. I'm not blaming them. Heim lo yadu miyaminam l'smailam. They don't know from their right hand to their left hand. They have no background. They weren't zeicher to grow up with a background in Torah observance. So I don't have a claim against them. I'm not denigrating them. But those are not the ones that Chazal are talking about when Chazal say, Afilu harekonin shebahem amalei mitzvahs karimai. So who is Chazal talking about? L'chayra Chazal are talking about the Yidden that are basically Shomerei Torah u'mitzvahs, but they're Amaratzim. They don't know anything. They also have a very limited background, and they go about their day. It could be they daven. Hopefully they daven 3 times a day. They make a bracha before they eat. They bench, after they eat. But it's interesting to me that Chazal say about them that they're mole mitzvahs karimoin. But then as the years passed, I realized that they are mole mitzvahs karimoin. You know why? Because they put on a talis cotton. They put on a talis cotton. They put on a beged of dalet kanfas with tzitzis on it. Right? There are Rishonim that say that when you wear a talis cotton with tzitzis on it, you're b'kayim a mitzvah say daraisa for every second that you're wearing the tzitzis. So you get up in the morning, you put on tzitzis, you have, let's say, an 18-hour day, and for 18 hours you're wearing tzitzis. Okay, night already, once it becomes nightfall, it's not as amount of tzitzis, but for all those daytime hours when you're wearing tzitzis, you're b'kayim a mitzvah say daraisa every second. So you know what? I feel the hare kanin shabem amalei mitzvahs karimain. Even taka the empty ones, even the ones that are mamish amaratzim, but they're malay mitzvahs karimain because the b'kayim mitzvah say daraisa every second of the day. Now, how do you think the Yetzer Hara thinks about this? Right? Yetzer Hara doesn't like this. The Satan doesn't like this. The Satan wants to come to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Chas v'chali wants to be makatrig on Klal Yisrael, and meantime, I feel hare kanin shebehem amalei mitzvahs karimain. Comes along the Satan, who has Satan, who ha Yetzer Hara, who ha Malach HaMaves, comes along the Yetzer Hara, and the Yetzer Hara comes, and the Yetzer Hara says, tzitzis, it's so hot outside. And look, the truth is, you're not mechuyev to wear tzitzis. The chiyuv daraisa, the chiyuv to put on tzitzis, is only if you're wearing a beged of dalet kanfas. You need to be masaking it with tzitzits. You need to affix tzitzits to it. But if you're not wearing a beged of dalet kanfas, you're not chayiv in tzitzis. And you're not chayiv to wear a beged of dalet kanfas. And the style of dress nowadays doesn't typically include a beged of dalet kanfas. So it's hot outside and I get very sweaty. Or I'm going out to work and maybe I'm a manual laborer. And you know the tzitzits, they're going to get so easily damaged. Or they get very sweaty and they get disgusting because, you know, I'm wearing the same tzitzis every day. So the Yetzer Hara comes up with all sorts of excuses not to wear tzitzis until it's suddenly developed, not suddenly, it's already been going on for a while, it's developed a culture that amongst many of the youth, it's not so far out of the norm to see that they're not wearing tzitzis. We're wearing the tzitzis. And sometimes you ask, where are the tzitzis? Oh, yeah, I didn't put on tzitzis today because I knew I was going out to work. Or I didn't put on tzitzis today because I knew I was going to go work out and I was going to go get very sweaty. What? Who doesn't wear tzitzis? Now, you're going to get sweaty? Let me ask you something. How many shirts do you own? How many shirts do you own? Do you own 10 shirts? And you wear a shirt and then you put it in the laundry? So you know what? Have 10 pairs of tzitzis. A beautiful pair of tzitzis costs less than a high-quality shirt nowadays. So have 10 pairs of tzitzis. If you have 10 shirts, have 10 pairs of tzitzis. And you could wash them. And it's not even as hard nowadays to wash them as it used to be. It used to be a problem. You put them in the machine. The strings got ruined. Now they have this gadget that you put the strings inside the gadget and you put it in the machine. So have a lot of pairs of tzitzis. Wash the tzitzis. What will be? What will be? B, afila harikanin shebem malei mitzvahs karimain. Why do I bring it up now? Because in what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, a fascinating thing has happened. The mitzvah of tzitzis has become kind of like front and center. We're hearing all of these stories about yeshivas with Bachar staying up all night making tzitzits, and they've given out so far over 100,000 pairs of tzitzits to soldiers, to some people who never wore tzitzits in their life. And now suddenly they're putting on tzitzis. And we're hearing unbelievable nisim that are happening because of tzitzis. There's one story came to me. I'm not going to go relate the whole, but the basics of the story was that I think it was a young lady who was involved in giving out tzitzis, that she wanted to get to an army base to give out tzitzis, and they said that she can't because it's a closed area because there's a terrorist on the loose, and she persuaded them to let them come with the tzitzis, and they came with the tzitzis, and there was one soldier that they wanted to approach this soldier to give tzitzis to the soldier. And the soldier motioned to them not to come to him. For whatever reason, he motioned, no, don't come here. But he wanted a pair of tzitzis. So they took a pair of tzitzis, they rolled it up in a ball, and they threw the pair of tzitzis to him. The pair of tzitzis went, it flew through the air, and it landed by a bush, and startled the terrorist that was hiding behind the bush. And the terrorist got up and he was dispatched to his judgment in the world to come. How many people did that pair of tzitzis save? And this is one story. There are many. There are nisim that are going on that are centered around the mitzvah of tzitzis. Rabbi say, don't allow this kalus in the mitzvah of tzitzis to creep into Klal Yisrael. Be nizar in the mitzvah of tzitzis. It's a precious mitzvah. It's true that midaraisa you're not mechuyev to put on a beged of dal kanfais. Even midarabanan, you're not mechuyev to put on a beged of dal kanfais so that you should have to wear tzitzis. But it is brought down already by kadmoinim that Klal Yisrael was mekabel on themselves to wear a beged of dal kanfais every day in order to be chayiv in the mitzvah of tzitzis. And not to do so is to be pirates together. So we wear tzitzis. We put on a beged of dal kanfais to be mechayiv ourselves in tzitzis. And the schus, now in Shemayim, the Rebbeinu Shalom says, look at Klal Yisrael. They're not even chayiv in tzitzis, but they put on a beged of dal kanfais specifically only to make themselves chayiv in the mitzvah. That's a gewaltige schus for Klal Yisrael. Don't we need schusim? And how hard is it? Is it hard? Is it hard? It's not hard. Put on that pair of tzitzis. You need more tzitzis, go buy more tzitzis. Make sure that your tzitzis are kosher. Learn hilchas tzitzis. Make sure the tzitzis are kosher. If you have a suffix, go get another pair of tzitzis. Go ask a shaila. Make sure that the tzitzis are kosher. Check your tzitzis. Don't just wear the same pair for who knows how long without paying any attention to them. Check them and make sure that they're kosher. We should be zoicha. The Shomer Yisroel hine lo yonim v'lo yishan Shomer Yisroel. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. The Rebbeinu Shalom is our God. The Rebbeinu Shalom is with us. The Rebbeinu Shalom is Ima Anoichi B'Tzara. The Rebbeinu Shalom is here with us. It's always striking when you say Hashanis on Sukkos. Ka'ishata Elim Belud Imach. Ka'ishata Elim. Elim is referring to the mighty ones of Klal Yisrael. Ka'ishata Elim. You saved Klal Yisrael Belud. Lud is Mitzrayim. Ka'ishata Elim Belud Imach. Together with you, we say to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ka'ishata, like you saved Elim, Klal Yisrael, Belud in Mitzrayim, Imach, with you. What does that mean, with you? Ima Anoichi B'Tzara. When we're in Galus, the Rebbeinu Shalom is in Galus. When we're in a Tzara, the Rebbeinu Shalom is in a Tzara. We cry. We cry over all of these people that were killed or are suffering. The ones that are stuck in Gaza. The ones with the boots on the ground. The Rebbeinu Shalom is crying. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem Echad. We beit Rachmanis from the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom should protect everyone. The Rebbeinu Shalom should save everyone. And the Rebbeinu Shalom should bring us a Geula Shlema. Not a Geula Porta. We don't want a small Geula. We don't want a temporary Geula. You know, they have this lashon that they use nowadays. They say that the Israeli government's approach until now has been to mow the grass. What does that mean? Well, you know, when the grass gets too tall, you cut the grass back down to size. You don't eradicate the grass. You don't go rip up your lawn, right? So that's the language that they've been using. That the Israeli government settled into this pattern of existence that they're going to throw some rockets at Israel, and Israel will respond. They'll mow the grass, and then they'll wait another few years, and then they'll throw some more rockets, and then they'll mow the grass, right? And we don't want that. Now they're saying we can't live like this anymore. We see that this was a mistake. We see that we can't live this way. We have to eradicate it. We have to eradicate the problem. True. But what I say is we need to eradicate the problem. You know what eradicate the problem means? Everybody said there's no end game. There's no end game. It's true. There is no end game of Kaichi Vaitzim Yadi. There is no end game to this problem that is in human hands. The end game is Bias Goyel Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu. That's the end game. That's the only end game. There is no other end game. What we want is the end game. What we want is the end game. We want Bias Goyel Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu. Chuas Hashem Keref Ayin. And for that, we need to pile on as many schusim as we can. In this video, I'm highlighting the precious mitzvah of tzitzis. We need tefillah, we need Torah, we need chesed, we need everything. But don't let that mitzvah of tzitzis fall by the wayside. Don't let it be kal. Speak about it to the younger generation. Everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos. We should be Zeicha Taka to the Biaska El Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu. Amen. Be well.